A wild night of gunfire leaves 2 people dead. In the first shooting, 33-year-old Cyrus Jones was killed as he walked down Grace Avenue in North Spokane. And then later, as police tracked down the alleged killer at a home in the 9 Mile Falls area, the suspect was shot by arresting officers. We have KXLY4 team coverage tonight with Kylee Cruz on the use of force investigation. But first, Jeff Humphrey joins us live at Grace and Maple, where the murder happened. Jeff?
And Nadine, because of squealing tires and a man's body spotted here on the roadway, this incident was first reported as a possible hit-and-run pedestrian collision. However, once on scene, police officers found the victim, Cyrus Jones, had suffered a gunshot wound to the chest and was barely alive. Witnesses say Jones was walking down Grace Avenue when he was confronted by a man in a pickup truck. Neighbors heard someone yell "stop" and then a series of gunshots. It didn't take patrol officers very long, though, to figure out this was no random shooting.
For now, we've just blocked it down. We're interviewing neighbors and people that know our victim. He happens to live in the area.
Well, I know that house on the corner to be a drug house. The victim that got shot in the front of the house happened to live in that house.
Home. Cyrus Jones, you see him there. His previous arrests include theft, burglary, and armed robbery. Reporting live in North Spokane, Jeff Humphrey, KXLY4.
Thanks so much, Jeff. Well, that murder set off a chain of events that led to a home in 9 Mile Falls, where just after 2 a.m., Spokane police tried to question the suspect. They said he did not comply with their commands, and they shot and killed him. The Spokane County Sheriff's Office now in charge of that part of the investigation, and KXLY4's Kylee Cruz is live near the scene tonight with the latest. Kylee?
And good evening, Nadine. We now know that several officers were involved in that shooting, and we have been out here for hours, but detectives, well, they have been out here for 17 hours. The road here still blocked off. Now, we are in Northwest Spokane. We are at Charles and Ritchie. Now, detectives being here for 17 hours, and that is because when dealing with an officer-involved shooting, one of the keys is to preserve the evidence and be very thorough documenting all of the evidence. Now, here is what we know. After the fatal shooting on Grace Avenue, information about the shooting suspect led police here to the home of this shooting suspect at the 2200 block of Charles Road in the 9 Mile area. Now, they arrived here about 45 minutes after the shooting, believing the suspect was armed. They set up the perimeter, called for backup. Then the suspect came out of the home. He confronted officers and failed to follow demand. Now, that's when shots were fired by several officers. The alleged killer died at the scene. Now, as for the investigation, still many questions, and that is standard in cases like this. We don't know what prompted officers to pull the trigger or how many shots were fired. Now, local law enforcement knows the public wants all of these answers, but in situations like this, they say it takes time.
We have to document everything, put the pieces of this puzzle together, so once we're done with the investigation, done with the scene, we've gathered and collected all the evidence that we possibly can to make this puzzle complete.
Now, like I mentioned before, we're about 20 miles from the first shooting scene, so it only took officers 45 minutes to figure out who their suspect is and come here. Now, we also learning today that the alleged shooter did not have any weapons on him. That is what Police Chief Frank Straub said in that press conference just about an hour ago, although he did have a pellet gun that looked like a real gun and another weapon somewhere on the property. Well, of course, we'll continue to get more information on this, but Police Chief Frank Straub also complimenting the bravery of his officers, calling this whole incident very tragic. He says he supports his officers 100%. Now, those officers now on administrative leave. Now, multi-agency group will be handling this investigation and have been handling this investigation all of today. Now, that is comprised of WSP, that is comprised also of police as well as the sheriff's office, and we will continue to keep you updated on this story. As always, check in with KXLY4 and KXLY.com. Reporting live here tonight in Northwest Spokane County, I'm Kylee Cruz, KXLY4 HD News.